Well, today we have Coach Eidson on the Coach's Corner. Coach, how are we doing?
Great, Noah. Thanks for having me.
And then first, I want to talk about how the season has been for you so far. And then we'll go over your time at De La Salle and how you've seen the team develop. But first, I want to start off with special teams. As we know, you're a special teams coach for this year, and we've seen a lot of success from the special teams. During our games, I think we have two kickoffs returned for touchdown
Yep.
so far, and we have one touchdown from an attempted field goal against El Cerrito. And with the success of our special teams, I want to ask, what does that boil down to? Does that boil down to strategy, or is it from the speed and agility of our receivers?
Well, that's a good question. I've spent a lot of years over the years at coaching clinics talking about special teams. And one thing I try to emphasize, especially in high school, everyone has their own schemes, and any scheme will work if you can get your athletes to buy into what you're trying to do. And I think a lot of high schools don't put a big emphasis on special teams. I think they kind of go over them on Thursday, which is the walkthrough, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of go through other special teams. But, I take special teams very seriously. And
Right.
every practice, as you know, you're filming practice, and I'm making notes on our special teams. I'm sending the kids notes through our huddle and asking them to see what we're doing. So um, it's a big deal in our program, and it's a big deal to be on our kickoff team. That's been a traditional team in our school's history, and I think I just get the kids to understand how important special teams are. They see it on the field when they start seeing returns, when they start seeing the field position we're getting with
Right.
our punt return and with our kickoff team and how it juices the crowd and it juices our sideline. They start really buying into what I'm trying to do. And I think that's a big advantage. It's been a big advantage for us over the years, not just this year, but I think for all those years I coached special teams with Coach Lattiser.
Definitely. You said that special teams can win games. I know that's kind of your trademark.
I said offense wins games, or offense sells tickets, defense wins games, special teams wins championships.
There you go. And how have you seen that here over your time at De La Salle? Where has special teams really driven the game forward or picked up where defense or offense may have dropped off a little bit? But how has special teams really carried games during your time at De La Salle?
Well, I think anybody that's followed De La Salle football has seen the effect of special teams and see how seriously we have taken them over the years. I mean, we've had some unbelievable returners as well, as you
Mm-hmm.
go back into the days, the Maurice Jones Drew, the Atari Callens, the Damon Jenkins. I mean, I could go on and on with a list of great returners on punt return and kick return and all the touchdowns we've scored off those teams, and just had some legendary guys on our kickoff team as well. A lot of people don't understand too. A lot of our guys have first got that went on to play college football got their first looks from colleges by their off the kickoff team.
Mm.
They've seen their speed and their aggressiveness, and that caught the eye of people when they were younger. And of course, they were great players on the field, and that helped too. But a lot of players over the years have, gotten their reputation started with our kickoff team. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I think probably the most disappointment I've had coaching special teams, and
Mm-hmm.
I know you haven't asked this question, but I thought I'd just throw this
No,
in
it's a good one.
anyway,
Hey.
is that when we start returning the ball, they quit
Mhm.
kicking it to us. They start squibbing it or
Right.
they start pooching it. We try to get some returns going with that as well. But
Yeah, we've seen a
every
lot of
time I
squibs this
return a
year.
couple of kickoffs, I go, well, that's it. We're not
Yeah.
going to get any kickoffs anymore for a while. But usually we get in the playoffs, teams start, the better teams, they'll kick it off to us. So it gives me put some life back into me, get our teams going again on those returns. So um, it's been a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with it. I think that's part of it too. We do a lot of fun things with special teams. I have a
Mm,
shirt for guys that play
of
great special
course.
teams. When we give out a shirt, then I read a story of great heroic events out there in the world. So we watch a movie at the beginning of the year. This year it was The Beekeeper, and so that's on the shirt. Protect the hive. So
Right.
we have a saying off the movie. So I have a lot of fun with it too. It's just not all business out there, and I think the kids like that about it as well.
You definitely mentioned a tradition that I think a lot of people kind of miss. If you're not involved with the program, it's something you don't see. And I also wanted to touch base on that and what goes into the decision making when you're giving out these shirts, right? And you give them every week, and what goes into like the decision making into giving someone a shirt, and
Yeah.
how have they earned that?
Well, it's not. First of all, it's we've been giving a lot of shirts out this year,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. I did not give out a lot of shirts last year, unfortunately, but it's just extraordinary play. So it might be a guy that goes on kickoff, he goes through two blockers
Mm.
and makes a great tackle, or causes a fumble, or makes the key block to get a return going, or it's the guy like Jaden Jefferson got one, obviously, when he returned the first one against. Um,
Is
not
that
oh
St.
St.
Francis?
Mary's, no
St.
St.
Mary's?
Mary's, St. Mary's. Yeah, that started off the game with the return. So
Mm.
when guys do extraordinary things like last week, we had a block punt. So McCall got one. First guy to block a punt this year.
Right.
We've actually roughed. We're one block punt, two rough punts, two roughing the punters. So we got to change that. We got to change those odds
Right.
around. But it just plays like that because that was a great effort by him. They had three blockers in the back wall, and he went through all three of them and blocked the punt. So, it's just extraordinary plays where kids are giving great effort and doing things out of the ordinary. And you say that a lot of people don't know the tradition, maybe that have followed the program, but I tell you, who does know the traditions? Everybody that's played in this program. So
Definitely.
our alums, that played, they know exactly our tradition of special teams, and that to me, that's all I care about is that those guys that went through here, they understood it, and they're still looking at that. We could win a game 42 to nothing, and if our kickoff team wasn't good, and there's some alums there, I'll walk off the field and they go, "Hey, coach, what's up with the Busters?" So it's a bit, it's a pride, it's a sense of pride in
Definitely.
our program. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the legacy. There's no understating the legacy here at De La Salle. And I wanted to touch on that. You've been with this program for 30 years. It's almost like every program or every alum who has been a part of the football program knows you. You've interacted with almost all of them. And I wanted to talk about how has this program changed over time and interacting with new kids every year. Is there different ways that you're coaching, maybe, or at the different strategies that you're kind of taking with?
Yeah. So there's always been rule changes over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do any more blindside blocks, which is a safety rule. Which I actually, I'm sure some of our older players won't be having me saying that. I totally agree with that, but we've capped some dudes over the years with blindside blocks, especially on our punt return, and um, but I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It is safety for the kids, and I totally get that. So we've had to adjust some things because of that with our returns, and got to keep everybody in front of you, which I think actually is a great rule. But I really haven't adjusted it. In getting kids to play special teams, it's always been the kids. It's not necessarily, sometimes it is starters. A lot of times it's guys that are, and we have a really deep team this year, so there's a lot of good players that aren't starting that could be starting at other places, and you get them on those special teams, and it makes it their baby. That's their thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's their moment to shine. So that's how I've always kind of approached it, and it's really interesting. Is like, um, when I see athletes that I always remember great special team plays. I know they've done great things on offense and defense,
Mm-hmm.
but like if I see, like off Patrick Walsh's team, Andy Nicholson, which was 1992. Still, I remember his punt return in the Coliseum,
Wow.
first one, I think, on the championship game where we had a punt return for a touchdown. And it's just all the graduates. If they've made great special teams play, if they did something on kickoff or whatever. I mean, I kind of always remember that, and we always have good stories to tell, and it's always kind of interesting. I think I remember those more than I remember the offensive or defensive plays.
That's great. Okay, well, the Spartan squad is currently undefeated. And how does their undefeated legacy kind of match with the teams of the past and especially teams of the streak?
Well, that's a great question, and the answer will come when we get a final record, probably. But at this point, the way they're playing, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a team with this much talented throughout the field on our offensive, defensive lines, in the secondary, our running backs. Every position. It's been, I think, our strongest team probably since 2015, which was a really good team. So, I know those guys are interested in their legacy, and some of the players have been coming up to me over the last few weeks and asking about the old teams. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they want to be seen as one of those teams, and they got a great test this Friday night. Tomorrow night against Pittsburgh, and that's going to be another chapter in this team's book, and see if they can finish off Pittsburgh and then on to the Open if we can do that. So you know you your legacy's left when the season's over, and they've done a great job up to now. I'd love to see them for them. I'd love to see them finish the job, and I know when we want to turn it up a notch,
Mm-hmm.
we've turned it up a notch, and I'm really hoping they're able to do that tomorrow night against Pitt. But Pittsburgh is a very talented team. It's one of the most talented Pitt teams I've seen. And I've seen a lot of Pittsburgh teams.
I bet you have.
So it's going to be a great test for us. And special teams are going to play a huge role. Their returner, their number 28, their running back, seriously, he's a great player. And big games, they put him back for punt return and kick return. So we're going to have to do our job, or it could be a long night. So I'm really trying to focus that this week with our players.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to the performance of our special teams. All right. Well, we've had a great time, and thank you so much for joining us today, Coach Eidson.
Thanks, Noah. And I just hope after tomorrow night's game, I was looking forward to our special teams play as well.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Thanks.
Thank you.